Hold it. Right there. 10 seconds. Elton Oltjenbruns. Olton. Is that an M or an N in there?
N.
Got it? Okay. Today is June the 23rd in 2015, and we have a World War II hero with us, Mr. Elton Oltjenbruns, who came from Holyoke and served in the European theaters, pretty much, isn't it?
Yes.
So you tell me about your story, will you please? Tell us first, what's your name?
My name's Elton Oltjenbruns.
Oh,
I was born there in Holyoke, Colorado in 1920.
19, you're a local boy.
Yes, I was born in August of 23rd. And I grew up there and went to a country school. Rode a pony to start with, and then later on I got a horse to ride. But that was the end of my formal education. I got out of grade school in 1934, and economically things weren't very good on the farm about then. So I didn't get to go to high school. But I worked for all the neighbors and made a few bucks, and Dad got that always. But things were, he was an old farmer from eastern Nebraska where he moved out to Colorado. But life was good on the farm. I grew up and I had a twin brother. And then I got to be father of twin daughters even after I was married to Eunice.
Good for you.
I was inducted into the Army about the 26th of October 1942.
How old were you?
I was 22 then.
22, And so did you have any kind of a ag deferment or anything like that? Or did
No, I didn't.
there wasn't anything like
I guess my twin did for a while, and then he was involved with a horse fell with him on the ice, and he fractured his foot, and he never passed his physical. But I served 3 years. After I was inducted, I went to Fort Logan. Then I was sent to Texas to 102nd Infantry Division. He was just putting all fillers in it, starting to form the division. We spent some time there, and then we went 2 months on maneuvers in Louisiana. Then back to Camp Swift, Texas. Swift was over east of Austin, about 20 miles.
What did you have a drink? What did you do in those training sessions? Was it just marching and all that stuff, or?
Well, we had that, and then we took a good fourth aid. Well, we were trained to take care of the wounded.
Okay, you were.
I was in a collecting company.
Oh.
We took a lot of medical lessons and good physical training also. We went, after we got done there in Texas, we went to Fort Dix, New Jersey on a troop train. And from there we spent a little time getting ready for overseas. And while we was there, they had a strike in Philadelphia. They were getting short on white conductors, and they hired a couple of black ones, and the white ones didn't like that, and they went on strike. And they sent my regiment down there, and we gave every streetcar conductor a guard with a fixed bayonet and steel helmet. And the streetcars started running again then. There was a lot of war material being made, as well as ships in the Philadelphia area.
Yeah. Okay. Naval yard there.
From there we went to, got on a troop ship at New York Harbor on
What was about the date? Do you remember?
12th of September 1944.
1944. Okay, in the
Yes.
fall of '44. Okay.
We got on troop ship, and there was about a little more than 8,000 on that one. But there was, after we got out to sea, there was I count as many as I could count. There's about 60 ships in the convoy. With the naval escort.
Yeah.
That one afternoon they throwed out some ash cans. I don't know. Some people called them depth charges.
Right.
But that's the way it was. And we spent the night in a port in England after about 12 days, I think, on the road or on the sea. And then the next month.
How was life on the ship that 12 days? Do you remember much about that?
It wasn't too bad. I didn't get sick, but some of them old boys was too sick to die, they said.
Yeah.
No, I did okay. They put me on KP, and that was an old ocean liner, and we only got 2 meals a day, but at noon we got an orange or an apple. And we had to carry up them cartons or crates from what used to be the swimming pool. That was all full of groceries.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Anyway, we went down to Cherbourg, France, and that's where we unloaded.
Okay.
And then they trucked us to an area where there was little small pastures. And we was a little ways from Omaha Beach.
Okay.
We walked over there and we could, that was in September. We could still, part of the remnants of war was still there. The gliders and I don't know what all. But I remember the gliders just without any canvas or anything on their wings. And we was there for a little while, and then we went north to where the area we was going to be in combat, and that was just opposite of the southern end of Holland. But we were on the north end of the American line. We were part of the 9th Army. You know, up on along the North Sea was the Canadian First Army. Then next was the British Second Army, and then the American 9th Army.
Okay.
Well, on our right was the American First Army then. And we went into combat there, and eventually we crossed the Ruhr River. That was that was just before the Bulge, I think. No, it was after the Bulge. You know, the Bulge went through on the First Army. That's where the 106th Infantry Division just went online, and that's where the Germans went through there with they had 9,000 casualties. That first day they were wounded or either captured.
Wow.
They were the Golden Lions. There was a golden lion on their shoulder patch. But eventually we got across the Ruhr, and we made the initial crossing on that, and my regiment got a regimental commendation for there. We crossed the Ruhr, and then with assault boats. The Germans had broken a dam upstream on the river, and that flooded the whole valley where we were. We had to wait a couple of weeks. We finally went across, and we got across, and then we were counterattacked, and we held. And my unit was given a special recognition for that. Of course, we was the next.
Now you basically were an infantry.
I lived with the infantry.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we took care of their casualties. We did the best we could anyway.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's very difficult in the field.
I know one of the ambulance drivers. When some of the drivers we'd go across an open field, they'd throw some artillery rounds at us. One old boy, he had an artillery round went right through his ambulance, but it was a dud, so he survived that one all right. But that was part of the war. Some of the guys would pick up a German prisoner once in a while and take him back. Some of the Germans thought they could infiltrate through the front lines and get into the Americans, then they could surrender.
Oh, is that right?
should have gave up sooner after we made the initial crossing there in Normandy. We just went and the Germans didn't have a chance then. Although they thought they was going to have, when they created the bulge, they thought they was going through there and go to Antwerp and then bottle up a whole lot of American and British troops. It made a good bit encircled then.
Right.
Anyway, we went to the Rhine. Now somebody else made the initial crossing there. We didn't. But they used some airborne troops in that crossing. We didn't use any airborne troops crossing when we crossed the Ruhr. And, we got across the Rhine and we kind of headed northeast up toward Berlin. It's mostly east. We went about so far, and some of the Ninth Army went to the right, and the First Army down there, they were headed up that way too, but some of them turned to the left, and we created what they called the Ruhr Pocket. There was about 300,000 troops was captured in that area.
Wow. How many?
300,000.
Captured or?
Well, yeah, they were captured, really, yeah.
Yeah.
They were surrendered.
Yeah.
But we kept going, and
wow.
we met the Russians at the Elbe River. You know, the Elbe is about 50 miles west of Berlin.
Right.
Anyway, that was where we were supposed to stop, but one company of my outfit crossed the Rhine. They were captured over there too then. Across the Elbe. But the Germans was getting pushed back, and the Russians was pushing, and the Germans wanted to surrender to the Americans.
Right.
Rather than the Russians. And my division was credited with taking 145,000 prisoners.
Is that right?
Most of them was all taken at the Elbe River.
They were German.
German troops, yes.
Yeah. Right.
It was quite a chapter in my life. After we were there, on the way over there, we came upon a big barn at Gardelegen in Germany. That was about, I suppose, 10, 15 miles from the Elbe River. And that's where the Germans had herded in about more than 1,000 slave laborers. They had straw and they had gasoline and they burnt it. They murdered a few more than 1,000 slave laborers in that big barn.
Wow.
I've been back there once, and they tore the barn down all except one wall. They kind of left that there as a memorial.
Wow. Monument, yeah.
It tells all about that in my history book that I put together, and it shows pictures.
Okay.
Our division commander got all the able-bodied men around there, and they dug individual graves for more than 1,000.
Wow.
That cemetery is still there today, and they're obligated to take care of it.
That's terrible.
That was.
So what were those slave laborers doing? Supposedly?
I suppose there was. I think a lot of them worked in the munitions because they got quite a few duds. There was a little bit of sabotage going on there, you know.
Yeah.
But there was Poles and there was some of them that was killed in there. They had a record of some of them, but most of them were from Eastern Europe there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's many Jews in there, but they really they killed a lot of them Jews, you know. I don't know, more than 1 million.
Yeah.
Even little children. But that was the war, and that's the way they did it anyway. After the war.
Quiet! God damn it!
Ooh. Somebody got a foot caught, huh?
I did. Oh gosh. I want it to be quiet.
Did I get shut off?
I don't know. Let's Let's see here. We're on standby. Okay. I want everybody to be quiet.
Okay.
No, you don't have to be quiet, but perfect. You can start that. Okay. Sorry about that. So anyway, you got to the Rhine.
And then we got to the Elbe. That's where we met the Russians and got the 145,000 prisoners.
Wow.
And then my outfit was scheduled to go in occupation down southeast Germany. And about that time, they was getting ready to move south, and I got appendicitis.
Oh, really?
So I had surgery at Gardelegen. That's the same town where the massacre took place.
Yeah.
But my outfit had a hospital set up in an old hospital there in Gardelegen, and I still remember that the old Dr. Hilker, I knew him, he was been our company commander in my company at one time, and he recommended I go ahead and have surgery. That was during the night, and he said, the cheapest job you'll ever get. Anyway, I remember they had me on a gurney going down the hall, and there's one old, we called them bedpan commandos that worked there in the hospital. He says, he's going down the aisle there. He says, you are now entering the sanctum of all inner sanctums. That was kind of interesting, but I remembered that, and they gave me a spinal and I had surgery. But I got there in time. Then they put me in a ward. Well, the next day, then they flew me to a hospital in Belgium. Well, the guys that waited too long and had their appendix broke, they was really in pain, but I got through that real good. I didn't have any pain. And in about 3-4 days, I was out playing softball.
Really? Good for you.
I did okay.
Well, now, what was your duty? What was your duties?
I was an ambulance driver, mostly.
Uh-huh.
But if the need was there, we took care of before I took care of them too. I remember we was going up front, and right ahead of us there was a Jeep got blowed over. Somebody had missed a mine, and I says to the kid that was with me, it's time to go to work, and we took care of the guys and evacuated them back. I remember one of them was from Kalamazoo, Michigan, but I don't remember his name, but that's the way it was anyway, them years.
So did you act as an ambulance driver all during your tour in Europe?
Yes, other than a couple of days there, they put me in the motor pool, and the old motor sergeant, he'd got too much liquor. So I sent him back to the hospital, and I took his place for a couple of days.
Well, now you said you knew LaForce when he was overseas there. Was he in the hospital group with you or something?
He was back with A, B, and C. We were collecting companies.
Okay.
And we evacuated all our casualties to D Company.
Okay.
They had a hospital set up with them.
Okay.
That's where Dr. LaForce was.
Okay.
And some other doctors. They had nurses back there, but we didn't have any nurses up front.
Up front, yeah.
Yeah. I was in the hospital in Belgium for a while, and then they put me on a train and I went down to a hospital and just kind of recuperate down around Paris. I was there for a while, and then got orders one day that I was going to ship home. I got home, it must have been about the 1st of August or something like that, or maybe a little bit later. But anyway, I remember when I got home to the house where we lived, that was the 20th of August.
Okay.
1945. But that sure was a great day. Yeah.
Glad to get home.
Sure good to be home. Where I was, so many young guys never made it home. I felt real fortunate. My outfit, each army established a cemetery in the cemetery that was established by the Ninth Army. That's in south part of Holland, a little ways from Maastricht. Maastricht's one of the bigger towns there. But there's 8,300 still buried there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Americans.
There was more than twice that many, but about half of them were left there. The next of kin had 5 years if they wanted their loved one brought home,
Yeah.
and about half of them elected just to leave their loved one there.
Yeah. So you got home in 45, right?
Well, I got home and they were still fighting in the Pacific. That's where
Right.
I was scheduled to go to the Pacific.
Right.
And then while I was home, they gave me 30 days at home after I had surgery, and then the war ended while I was on that 30-day home, and then they sent me to Camp Crowder, Missouri. That was a training camp for medics and signal company.
Okay.
Anyway, if you read Beetle Bailey, that he was in Camp Swampy.
Okay.
Well, Camp Swampy was the old boy that drove that cartoon. He was stationed there at Camp Crowder, and of course he gave the camp a name of Camp Swampy for
Yeah.
Beetle Bailey.
Right.
But I spent a couple of weeks there, and then from there, I went to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, and I was there for a little while. And I was discharged the 9th of November, 1945.
So then you came back here to,
Yes. Yeah, I came back to Holyoke.
yeah.
My parents lived on a farm there between Holyoke and Amherst. But it was sure great to be home. I got a train ticket from Denver on the Greyhound bus or Trailways, and it went through Sterling, but didn't go through Holyoke, so I hitchhiked the last 50 miles home.
Did you?
Yeah, that was a great afternoon.
So when you hitchhiked home, I want to ask you a question. When you hitchhiked home, did the people pick you up? Were you in uniform?
Yes,
And,
I was there by the railroad tracks, and somebody from Nebraska, young couple, they stopped and picked me up and took me right to
Took you home.
Holyoke. Yeah. I had an uncle that had the liquor store in Holyoke at that time, and I stopped in there and he saw me. He just locked the door and took me home.
Oh, good.
That was my mother's brother. Yeah.
So then you've been on the farm and farmed all this time and
Yes.
done that sort of thing, yeah. And so when you came back, what about Eunice? What happened to her?
She growed up while I was gone. She's a little younger than I am.
Oh yeah, okay.
We started going together 6 months or so, maybe a little more than that after we got home. And then we got married in spring of '47.
Okay.
And we've been married 68 years now.
Good for you guys.
We had 4 daughters. They all married veterans. The oldest one, he was in Korea, and the next 3 were in Vietnam.
Yeah. Well, everybody, unfortunately, has been to service a lot. So,
I think we got 7 or 8, 9 grandkids and about that many great grandkids. Anyway, families growed.
yeah, right.
Last Christmas, all 4 of our daughters was home. The twins were both live in Florida,
Uh-huh.
but they came home. That was great. My one daughter, the eldest, she lives over in Nebraska at Venango. That's about 25 miles from where I live.
Yeah.
And her second daughter, she lives here in Sterling. I don't know, maybe you've heard of him. He's city manager here. Her husband is.
It's what?
Don Saling. He's my son-in-law.
Oh yeah. Now, What rank were you in the service? What was your high rank?
I had technician 5th grade when I went overseas, and that's where I stayed in that same rank. There wasn't any rank no more given out because we all had the one casualty
Yeah.
that got killed bringing in a man on a stretcher. Some sniper in a cabbage patch got him. Well, there's 4 of them carried in the litter, and they got the one anyway. Yeah,
So-
well, I was technician 5th grade. There was 3 out of the 10. I had one of the 3.
Oh, good for you. Now, was that equivalent to like a sergeant or something like that? What would
Well,
you?
there's private and then corporal and then sergeant.
Yeah. But
Well, a technician 5th grade, that was I was a corporal with a technician rating.
a higher rate.
I was kind of in charge of some of the stuff part of the time.
Yeah. Okay. And you were trained as a corpsman,
Yes,
basically. Yeah. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
I never could understand why a farm boy was put on in the medics, but as farm boys, we're all drivers.
Yeah.
There's some of them guys that live in New York or New Jersey. They'd never driven a vehicle.
That's right. Yeah, they'd never been in a car or used a car. That's right.
You know, when we left Normandy and flew up and went up to the area where he was going to go into combat, I drove a Jeep all the way up there. But some of them guys, they went through a hedgerow and whatnot that morning. They was going to take off, go north. That was kind of a picnic, but I drew a Jeep without a top on, and it rained a little bit. But it took us 3 days to get up there.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
now, what I see you have your cap there. Tell us about the medals and the awards you got. Can we see this?
Well, this is an American Legion medal. I was a boy state counselor for a number of years.
Okay.
And the next one, that's the Army. And you know, the infantry all had a combat badge that were online. And after the wars were with it, he said the medic should have a little recognition.
Sure.
So that I was awarded the combat medic badge, and that's what this one is.
Well, that's what that is.
Yes.
Can you get that?
Then there's this one, that's the occupation
Okay.
ribbon. And up here's that award when we got the Presidential Unit Citation when we crossed the River and held. And the next one, that's my good conduct ribbon. And this in here, I don't know, that's kind of, what was a service 6 months or a year. And I don't know, anyway. They gave everybody one. And then that's the Bronze Star. You know,
What did you get the Bronze Star for?
devotion to duty, I always figured. I was dedicated to what I was doing. And
Okay.
there was 3 of us got some recognition on that one morning. Lieutenant Colonel pinned the Bronze Star on me. And then when I was discharged out of Fort Leavenworth, they looked my record over and they said, "You need an oak leaf cluster."
Wow.
That's the second Bronze Star.
Yeah,
Just
right.
they looked at my record, yeah.
Wow.
And that's, of course, that last one. That's the victory ribbon, World War II victory ribbon.
What's the medal? Tell them about your Ozark.
Oh yeah, that's our shoulder patch.
Oh, that was the patch. Yeah. Okay.
See the O and the Z, and then the arc underneath. We were called the Ozarks.
Oh, really?
In World War I, it was put down on paper, but it never was activated. But if it would have been activated, the men would have came from Arkansas and southern Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
So we're called the Ozarks.
Okay.
But World War II, it came from every place. New York and New Jersey and Texas had the most men in there because that's where the population was.
Yeah. Sure.
Didn't all the 102nd have the Ozark patch?
Yes. There was probably about 20,000 more of that because there's about 14,000 in infantry division at that time there was.
Yeah.
And Everybody got a patch, left shoulder.
Okay.
We was proud of that. We all sewed it on ourselves or had somebody else do it for us. The
What-
left shoulder got that, yeah.
Okay. What did you think when you were in the service? What was the most exciting or memorable time that you had? I mean, like when you got to the river, whatever. Was there anything special?
When we crossed the river, we got extra ambulances, and I tell you, always between the artillery and the infantry. He was right behind, or with the infantry. The artillery was behind us, and when they let that, when they softened up the other side in the morning, it was dark, about 2:30 or so, and it broke all the windows in the little town of Ruradorf. That concussion from the artillery.
Wow.
But then I'll always remember the first patients I picked up when we was going up front, and on the way up there, I came upon this Jeep that had flipped over and 2 guys was hurt.
Yeah.
That was my first patients. And I always remember the hospital that I spent some time in there in Gardelegen. Yeah, that was. Sure, it was a good day when it ended there in Europe.
No.
Well, the outfit that you went in with
What's that?
was
Jen?
together. The outfit you went in with stayed together. There's like a family. It
I was in the same company for about 3 years,
Really?
and all us medics that we didn't have a high rate of casualties. We stayed together. Like she said, we got to be family more or less.
Right.
I've went to about 25 reunions, and some of them old boys we lived with all those years, and then in the one year, 79, we went back to Europe, bunch of old veterans, and retraced our steps where we were in combat.
Oh, good.
And we made lasting friends there, really got to be good friends. And of course, we always met them same people at our reunions. We'd had reunions in Boston and Virginia and Texas and San Francisco and Seattle and Omaha, Louisville, Kentucky.
Now you were the president of your group.
Yes, that was the year we were in San Francisco.
Okay.
It was it meant a lot to me. We had about the 10th floor, and we had a suite up there. And that one afternoon, we says, "Everybody come to my place." And we uncorked the bottle, and we really made some good friends there. One old boy, he was an official storyteller. He lived in Texas. But we, down through the years, have been real good friends. But we finally folded the flag. There wasn't enough of us anymore to really hold a reunion.
How many were in your group at the Apex or the
There was 100 in my company.
100? Okay.
Then we had about 800 no, it wasn't quite that many, in the battalion.
Okay.
That was us technicians and ambulance drivers and litter bearers. We had a bunch of litter bearers, and then in the stations, each company we had an aid station. We had a doctor in charge of my company.
Uh-huh.
They set up a battalion company aid station. That's where all the casualties were filtered through there before they went back to the hospital.
Yeah.
And we put a tag on them all.
Well, that's good.
They say it's easier to carry a frozen body than it is that it's not frozen.
Mm-hmm.
I say it's easier to carry a frozen body.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
We were in North Germany there. In the
Yeah.
wintertime we had snow.
That was a bad winter, that winter of 44, 45.
I guess it was, yes.
Yeah.
That all went about when the bulge started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And then after I got away from all my guys when I went to the hospital. And I met up with this kid. He was John Pickard from Indiana, and
Yeah, just
we got to be good buddies just for a while. Yeah.
hang on a minute.
Yeah, I
Can you
zoom in.
zoom in on that?
Yes.
Hmm?
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Mhm.
How about the other camera?
John's passed away for a number of years already.
You want to hold it up in front of the
Sure.
camera? We gotta move the camera.
Hold it up a little.
Yeah,
That's it. Now zoom in.
Okay.
No?
Is that
Here,
okay?
I'll help you. Let me help. There we go. Now, who is in this picture?
John Wright.
Okay. Oh, John. Now, you mean John Wright down south there, and
He's the one that I met in the hospital, and we got to be buddies.
okay. That's good.
He was a farm boy from Indiana. Yeah.
Okay. And I always do about 10 seconds. Just a moment. Perfect. Now, see that's recording right there?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing good, you guys. Hang tight. Now these show the medals that you talked about on your hat,
That
and
card up there in the corner.
then that shows his tech patch, and yeah, that's great. Okay, you shut that.
This card, instead of a rifle, instead of a weapon, that was
Oh,
for
yeah.
that was for the medics. We were not allowed to, we were supposedly not have a weapon.
A weapon, yeah. So, which card was that, Eldon? Show me that. That's that,
That's
The one on top, isn't it?
well, that's his,
Oh, I have no idea.
here, I can't see. Hold it over here. Hold it there. No, son of a bitch. Right there, perfect. Now we got an idea of it. Okay. Okay. What else you got to tell us? Anything else?
Well, can't think of anything right now. Well, I could look at here. Yeah, I went on the rifle range, and this year, that's 3 years in the Army. That's one hitch.
Hold it up.
This one ribbon, or that's a hash mark. That's 3 years in the Army.
Okay, that's what the hash mark means there.
Yeah. And this, them two ribbons there, each one of them gold ribbon or gold stripe is 6 months overseas. So I
Right,
mean,
the bars,
yeah, I had a year overseas.